You just hold on. So, good morning, student. I have decided to discuss a very unique topic that under the food science and nutrition, that lipid importance and classification. Myself, Dr. J.K. Sharma, I am sharing this screen with you, and we'll have the objective of learnings are very clear that we'll have a concept and importance of we'll learn about the concept and importance of lipids, and we will also discuss the classification, the types, characteristics, and the specialties of the lipids. So what are lipids? Let us have first discussion on that. That the lipids are naturally occurring hydrophobic molecule. It means they are having the OH molecule with them. They are heterogeneous group of compounds related to fatty acids. They include fats, oils, waxes, phospholipids, etc. Lipids are greasy or oily organic substance. Lipids are sparingly soluble in water and are soluble in organic solvent like chloroform, ether, and benzene. So lipids, they are little bit different from the carbohydrate. Carbohydrate, those we see that they are soluble in water, but here the lipids they are soluble in the organic solvents like chloroform, ether, and benzene. So this is the major difference between the lipids and the carbohydrate. And lipids are also just like the carbohydrate, they are the CHO and CO. It means the aldehyde and carbonic uh, carboxyl groups are there, but here we have a OH group, hydroxyl group, hydrophobic molecule is there. So these are two, and they are also heterogeneous group of compound related to fatty acids. They includes oil, waxes, phospholipid, etc. So lipids are greasy or oil organic substances. Lipids are sparingly soluble in water and soluble in organic solvent like chloroform, ether, and benzene. They have the common property being relatively insoluble in water, but just like carbohydrate, those who are soluble in water, they are insoluble in water. Soluble in non-polar solvents such as ether and benzene. Non-polar solvents such as ether and benzene. So this is major. So first, once again, I'll repeat that lipids are naturally occurring hydrophobic molecule. They are heterogeneous group of compounds related to fatty acids. They include fats, oil, waxes, phospholipids. It means under the lipids, we'll study about the fats, oil, waxes, phospholipids, etc. It means the lipids are very important from nutritional point of view because they are the source of energy. They are the storage source of energy. In the case of the animals and human beings, the lipids they are stored in the form of the glycogen. Whereas in the plants, that we know that the lipids the fats they show in the form of the chlorophyll. So that is very that in the form of the glucose in the form of the human being, and whereas in the animals, in the ruminants particularly, in the form of the glycogen, that we know that they are stored in the liver, mostly in liver and the other that the spongy tissues where the lipids they are stored. So lipids are naturally occurring hydrophobic molecule. They are heterogeneous group of compound. It means they are not homogeneous. It means they are having the heterogeneous group of fatty acids. It means fatty acids. There are two type of fatty acids: saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. So the group of the fatty acids they are to be there. It's not the same fatty acids. It's associated in the lipids. It's a group. Sometimes the heterogeneous. So homogeneous, so that the fatty acids are not there. They are heterogeneous by nature. They includes oil, waxes, phospholipid, etc. Lipids are greasy or oily organic substances. Lipids are soluble in sparingly soluble in water, soluble in non-solvent polar solvent like ether, benzene, and the antichloroform. So lipids they are solved like that. So we have to very much understood that there should be a clear cut demarcation that lipids are not solved in the water, just like the carbohydrate. They are insoluble in water, but they are very much soluble in the non-polar solvents such as ether and chloroform. So next, the functions of lipids. What are the functions of lipids? Lipids are very important. We know that the lipids, they are the storage form of the energy. It means while because of any reason, if a living organism is not able to consume carbohydrate, that in that case the storage lipids works as a storage energy, and they, because of their degradation, their beta oxidation, that provide the energy, and of course there are certain ketone bodies also produced in during the process, but that to be excreted by the kidney and urinary tract. But definitely the urine, the storage form of the energy and important dietary component, because their high energy value, and also because of the fat soluble vitamins, fat soluble vitamins, for example, the fat soluble vitamin and the essential fatty acids contained in the fat of the natural soluble. It means there are certain vitamins, for example, the vitamin A and D. They are fat soluble. So that's why the fat, the storage of lipid is very important, because under the fat, under the presence of the lipids, we can have dissolve the fat soluble, that vitamin A and D can be work for that. So that is why very important. The storage form of the energy. Lipids are storage form of the energy, important dietary component because of their high energy value, and also because of the fat soluble vitamin and the essential fatty acids contained in the fat of natural food. Structural compound of biomembrane. They are the structural compound of the biomembrane. That is very important. That they are the structural. It means in the absence of the lipids, we cannot imagine the structure of the biomembrane. It means the membrane, those who are made in the particularly cell and in the tissues, that membrane to be built by the lipids. And if the deficiency of lipid is there, then we'll see the consequences of that, there is a degradation of biomembrane or like that. Serve as a thermal insulator. Yes, of course, it not allowing any kind of that thermoregulatory system, and that they provide the other, that all the system to be thermo that the thermo insulators, because they are that because of that the adhesiveness of the lipids. Then the in the subcutaneous tissues and the around the certain organs where we require the, and the lubrication also being provided by the lipids. So lipids are very important, and that is why the function of lipid. Once again, I'll go through that: the storage form of energy, important dietary compound because of their high energy value, important dietary compound, because if the lipids are not there, then we'll have so many consequences. So that the entire body, the lubrication, that to be part of the depend upon the supply of the lipids in the body. So they are very important. They are very important. So we have to understood this thing, that they are the important dietary compound because of their high energy value, and also because of the fat soluble vitamins and the essential fatty acids contained in the fat of natural foods. The structural compound and the biomembrane serve as a thermal insulator in the subcutaneous tissues and around the certain organs. So once again, I'll repeat that what are the functions of the lipid? That they are working as a storage form of the energy. Then they are the important dietary component because of their high value energy. Because of they degrade, they provide the huge amount of the energy, and also because of the fat soluble vitamins. They are under these these lipids, the fat soluble vitamins, because certain vitamins like vitamin A and D, they are only solved in the presence of the lipids. So that's why the presence of lipid is very important, because if you want to the action of these vitamin A and D inside the body, because they are the integral part of the bone matrix also, and they are also the calcium and phosphorus fixation is in the presence of these, and the entire growth and development, that because of the vitamin A, that's why we are calling it the growth promoting factor. So these that the presence of the lipids is very important. Then vitamins and the essential fatty acids contained in the fat of the natural food. Then the structural component, the biomembrane inside the cell structure, that and the entire cell structure that will wind up by the biomembrane. And for that the lipids, the presence of lipid is very important, because they are the integral and integral structural part of that, and serves as the thermal insulator. It means they directly they can provide up to a certain extent the insulation that the in the and that kind that is why they are working as an insulator, and sometimes the shock absorbers also, because of the adhesiveness of the lipid cells. So here we have thoroughly discussed regarding the classification of lipids. So lipids, they further be classified as a simple lipid, compound lipid, and the derived lipid. Simple lipids are there; they are the esters of fatty acids. They are the esters of fatty acids, to whom we are calling the simple lipid. Where the compound lipid, esters of fatty acids and alcohol chain, other group also alcohol chain containing alcohol chain, that they are to be called as compound lipid. Derived lipid composed of hydrocarbon and zinc and long hydrocarbons. Like it means they are derived from the they are developed from the other lipids. So they are to be called as a derived lipid. Now the classification of lipids, it is very important that what on what basis actually this classification is being done, that we will discuss over here. That on what basis actually this classification is being done, that we will discuss. The simple lipids. Simple lipids are the esters of fatty acids with various alcohol. They are the esters of fatty acids, fats and oil, triglyceride, triacyl glycerols. These are the esters of fatty acids with the trihydroxy, trihydroxy alcohol glycerol. A fat is the solid of at ordinary room temperature, and oil is the liquid, and oil is liquid. That is generally this difference in the fat, and that they are they fat generally solid at the room temperature. It means at 24-25 degrees temperature will the fat generally it remain in the solid form. Whereas the oil it is the liquid form. So that is to be to physically we can differentiate between the fat and oil. Fat and oil are the example of the simple lipids, and the difference between fat and oil is that fat they are the they are the solid at the simple room temperature, whereas the oil is the liquid form at the room temperature. So these are two differences between the fat and the oil. Simple lipids are the esters of the fatty acids with various alcohols. Fats and oils, triglyceride or triacyl glycerols, these are the esters of the fatty acids with a trihydroxy alcohol glycerol. A fat is solid at ordinary at room temperature, and oil is liquid. So this is the difference between the. Here you will see that the glycerol and the fatty acids and the neutral that fat that here the three triglyceride. It means here the three atoms, three compounds of the glyceride, they all together, and to whom we are calling the neutral fat. And here the glycerol, that three that we'll see that the waxes are the esters of fatty acids with high molecular weight. Monohydroxy alcohol, example beeswax. Beeswax, we know these are the esters of the fatty acids. They are the esters of the fatty acids, and the example is the bees. Bees, the honey bees, and after that the Webb constitution is there, and that to be the wax is there, that to be called as a monohydroxy alcohol, and to whom we are calling the bee wax. Example is beeswax. So we'll have once again explanation that H2COH and FCOH in between, and H2COH, that is a glycerol. That's the structure, chemical structure of the glycerol. And here the ones, so the three HOOC, CH2 whole and minus CH3, that the fatty acid is removed from it. So then we'll have that the triglyceride, to whom we are calling the neutral fat. So these are the important that the differences in between the fat and the fatty acids. Now the compound lipids. About the simple lipids, we have a discussion thoroughly. Once again, we'll repeat that discussion in coming class. And in this class also, I'll give you the repetition of that the simple lipids also. But let us have a discussion first on the compound lipids. That compound lipids, they are very much important. It means here we'll see that the compound lipids that esters of fatty acids with alcohol. It means the position of alcohol is there. Possess additional group also. And possess additional group also. It means fatty acid with alcohol possess additional. Once again, I repeat that the compound lipid esters of fatty acids with alcohol. It means here the compound of alcohol is available. So we have to be very much clear that while we are calling the compound lipid, it means here the esters of fatty acids with alcohol. It means in simple that lipids they are the esters of the fatty acids. Whereas here in compound lipids they are the esters of fatty acids with alcohol and possess additional group also. Sometimes alcohol, sometimes maybe other group also. So they are to be called as a compound lipid. It means esters with any other compound. In general, it's alcohol, but sometimes it may be differ. Phospholipids or phosphates, phosphatids to whom we are calling are the compound containing fatty acids and glycerol in addition to phosphoric acid, nitrogen base and other substituents. So like that, they are usually possess one hydrophilic head and two polar tails. It means that is a chemical structure we'll see later on. They are called polar lipids and are amphipathic in nature. Amphipathic, amphipathic in nature. So they are like that. So phospholipids, the example of compound lipid is phospholipids or phosphatids. They are the compound containing fatty acids and glycerol. It means here the fatty acids and the glycerol. And in addition to that, they are also having the phosphoric acid, nitrogen bases, and other substituents also. They are usually possess one hydrophilic head and two polar tails. They are called polar lipids and are emphatic in nature. So these are the compound lipids. The example is there. You see that the phospholipids and the hydro the tail is also there, that they are having the phosphoric head and two tails. You will see that phospholipids, and they are very important. They are extracellular space under this, that how they are like that, and they are very important. Because of that, we will see that how they are looking like that. So here the tail is clearly that the specification, they are usually possess one hydrophilic head and two polar tails. So two polar tails you see over here, and and then the large picture also, that you can see that these are the head is over here, and they are the hydro, they all together they are being called as the phospholipids or phosphatids also we are calling them. Then the third classification, derived lipids. They are the substance derived from the simple and compound lipids by hydrolysis. It means the process of hydrolysis. While we do the hydrolysis of simple and the compound lipid, then finally we have a derived lipid. Then finally we have a derived lipid. These include these fatty acids. They are includes the fatty acids, alcohol, monoglyceride and diglyceride, steroids, terpenes and carotenoids. The most common derived lipids are the steroids, terpenes, and the carotenoids. These are the more common. It means they are the derivative of the simple and compound lipid. While we do the hydrolysis of the of the simple and compound lipid, then we'll have finally the end product, to whom we are calling the derived lipid. And the most common derived lipid are the steroids, and then the terpenes, and then the carotenoids. They are the most common that derived lipid. So derived lipids are what they are. They are the derivatives actually. They are the final outcome of the simple and compound lipid while we do the hydrolysis, or in the body, in the human being, or in the animals also, or in the living organism. While there is a hydrolysis process, that to be done during the metabolism of the simple and compound lipids, then we'll have the final outcome of these derived lipids. And the most that common derived lipids are the steroids and the terpenes and the carotenoids. These are the example of the derived lipids. So now we have finally three type of lipids are there. First one, the simple lipid, then we have a compound lipid, and third one is the derived lipid. So now we'll have one more that discussion on that. That the simple lipids, they are the esters of the fatty acids with various alcohols sometimes. And examples of these are triglycerol and triglycerols. They are the example. Alcohol and they are the example. Then the waxes, and these are the esters of the fatty acids, and the beeswax is very good example of the simple lipids. Then we have a compound lipid. Compound lipids are the esters of fatty acids, along with they have alcohol and other that additional group also they are having. For example, the phospholipids. And the phospholipids, will see that they are having the two tails and the one head, and that is to be they are usually possess one hydrophobic head and two non-polar tails. So that we'll see from the picture. And then the third one here, the two tails are there, and in the arrangement we'll see that they are arranged like that. And then we have a third one, the derived lipid, or they are the derivative. They are nothing. They are just the simple hydrolysis outcome of the simple and compound lipids when we do the hydrolysis, or sometimes the body do the hydrolysis during the metabolic process. That's the result of the derived lipid. The first one is the steroids, and then the carotenoids and the terpenes. They are the good example of the derived lipids. So derived lipids, they are nothing. They include the fatty acids, alcohol, monoglyceride, and the diglyceride. Sometimes steroids, terpenes, and carotenoids. They are the end result of the hydrolysis of the simple and compound lipids. Now fatty acids. Fatty acids are the aliphatic carboxylic acid or carboxylic acid. fatty acids are nothing. They are the aliphatic carboxylic acid. Have a general formula R CH2 whole in C minus COOH attached with COH. It means the COH is almost always there. They occur mainly as a ester. They occur mainly as a ester. Fatty acids and other occur in natural fats are usually straight chain derivative containing an even number of the carbon atom. If the even number of carbon atom is there, they are the simple fatty acids and usually straight chain derivatives. They are the fatty acids and occur in natural fats are usually straight chain. It means that we see in the chemical structure that other how they looks like that. And then the chain may be saturated, sometime containing no double bond, or unsaturated containing one or more double bond. So when the double bond is there, then we call them unsaturated fatty acid. And if there is no bond, then the chain may be saturated containing no double bond. Then to we are calling the saturated fatty acid. And if there are more than one bond, they are there, then we'll call them the unsaturated fatty acid. So chain in chain, this kind of that arrangement to be there. Then the classification of fatty acids on the basis of the many ways, but on the basis of the bond we have seen in the series of the fatty acids, that to be called as saturated and unsaturated. Saturated fatty acids do not contain double bond, or they are having the single bond with them, and they are in the series with attached with the single bond. While unsaturated fatty contain more than two, every time more than one, it means double bond are there, and they are to be called as the unsaturated fatty acids. Now the essential fatty acids, the second way of defining that classifying these fatty acids is essential and non-essential. Essential fatty acids, those that cannot be constructed through the chemical pathway, known to happen in humans. They must be obtained from the diet, linoleic and linolenic acid. They are the essential fatty acids, and they are not, because they are not formed in during the metabolic activity inside the body. So body required these two fatty acids, linolenic and linoleic acid. They both are required to be present in the diet itself. Otherwise, we have the deficiency syndrome of these fatty acids. Then the non-essential fatty acids are those which are not necessary to be taken through diet. They are synthesized through chemical pathways inside the body. It means inside the body, if the body itself, because we know that there is so many metabolic activity inside the body, and as per the need of the body convert the fatty acids, unsaturated fatty acids into the several others, and then that to be required, as we know that the formation of steroids and other that the body itself do this thing. Carotenoids also, they all are the final outcome of the process of the hydrolysis and beta oxidation, and there are several other metabolic activity, phagocytosis also inside the body, and these all the metabolic activity that finally produces the non-essential fatty acids. That's why they are not required in the diet. So that we have to very much clarity in our mind that what kind of the classification. Then the unsaturated fatty acids and saturated fatty acids. The monoethanoic monoethanoic acid containing one double bond, and the unsaturated, it means they are having more than two. Unsaturated, it means they are having more than one, definitely the bond, whereas the monosaturated, that monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. Monounsaturated means they are having more than one double, containing one double bond. It means at least one double bond is there. That's why we are calling them the monounsaturated fatty acids. And polyunsaturated means they are having more than two double bond in their chemical structure. Then they are being called as the polyunsaturated fatty acids. Then that we see here in the picture, that the first one saturated, it means there here we don't have any second kind of that bond. It means every fatty acid is attached with the single bond. Then we have a monosaturated one bond. It means only the one position we have a double bond, and that's why we are calling them the monounsaturated fatty acid. And the third one is polyunsaturated. It means they are having more than two, more than one. It means two or three or four, maybe like that. So to whom we are calling the polyunsaturated fatty acids. So this is the difference in between the in between the saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated. This is also the one of the classification. Then the classification of fatty acids based on the length of hydrophobic chain, on the basis of the hydrophobic chain. That to be also classified. Short chain fatty acids, those who are having 2 to 6 carbon atom, whom we are calling the short chain fatty acid. For example, the example of short chain fatty acid is acetic acid, butyric acid, propionic acid, and the isovaleric acid, valeric acid. These all are the example of the the example of the short chain fatty acids, because they are having the carbon atom in among their chain 2 to 6, in 2 to 6. Then the medium chain 18 to 8 to 14, that carbon atoms they are there. And then the long chain fatty acids, very long chain fatty acids with 20 or more than that carbon atoms, they are also there. So these kind of the four kind of classification is there. Short chain 2 to 6 atom carbon atom is present in the structure of the fatty acids chain, to we are calling the short chain fatty acid. Medium chain, it means it's more than 8 to 14. That if it in between 8 to 14, that for example the acetic acid or like that. Then the long chain 16 to 18 carbon atom, and then the very long chain, those who are having more than 20 carbon atoms. For the examples, that the biological importance of fatty acids, we will see that first, what is the biologically that the importance is there of fatty acids. Fatty acids are the building blocks of the dietary fat. The human body stores such as fat in the form of triglycerides. Fatty acids are also required for formation of membrane lipids such as phospholipids and glycolipids. They are required for the esterification of the cholesterol, for forming the cholesterol in the esters. They act as a fuel molecule and are oxidized to produce energy. That is also the important role of the fatty acid. Then the beta oxidation. This is very important thing, that beta oxidation is the catabolic process. It means there are two type of process in the body, the metabolism, that the anabolism and the catabolism. Anabolism means there is something formation, there is something formation inside the body, and within the formation of that thing, that the energy is produced in a huge amount. That the conversion of carbohydrate to the fat. This is also the process of the anabolism. And then we will see that the formation of the glucose, that is also for glucose to glycerol, that is the formation. So this is also being called as a anabolism or anabolic activity. Whereas the formation of that and the with histocyclic acid cycle, NADH and FADH are coenzyme as used to. It means the beta oxidation, that for that broken down in the mitochondria, that we know that the powerhouse of the cell, that generate acetyl coenzyme A. It means in which fatty acid the molecules are broken down in the mitochondria to generate acetyl coenzyme A, which is very much important. That acetyl coenzyme A is very much important for several metabolic activity, several biological activity inside the body. So that the glucose to be broken down, that the fatty acids to be broken down into the mitochondria of the cell, and to generate the acetyl coenzyme A. This activity to be known as a beta oxidation, and this is the catabolic process. It means here the breakdown of the fat or protein or carbohydrate or anything else in the body itself. So for producing energy, or for producing several, that the metabolic activity. So we have a clarity which enters the citric acid cycle, and then because the acetyl coenzyme is very important, that it enters in the citric cycle, acid and NADH and FADH2, which are coenzymes used in electron transportation chain. So that's why the transportation, that electron transportation chain in the we know that in the nucleus, for that the energy is required, and that acetyl coenzyme A formation by the mitochondria, and that is to be known as the beta oxidation, and this is the result of the result of the various activities, those they are there. So today we have completed almost the discussion of the lipids, and what are the lipids. That first we have gone through that the lipids are naturally occurring hydrophobic molecules, and they are heterogeneous group of compound of related to fatty acids. They include fats, oil, wax, phospholipids, etc. Lipids are greasy or oily organic substances. Lipid are sparingly soluble in water, sparingly soluble. It means rarely they solute in the water, but generally they are only soluble in the organic solvent like chloroform, ether, and benzene. They have the common property of being relatively insoluble in water and soluble in non-polar solvents such as ether and chloroform. So these are the few important the characteristics of the lipids, and then the further we have the simple lipids and the compound lipids and then the the derivative lipids, and then we have the amino acids that we, because we know that what are the amino acids will have, because the amino acids that the amino acids will see that they are very important, that the fatty acids, sorry, amino acids, they are the part of the protein. So fatty acids we have discussed that what are because they are having the COHS, CO, and the carboxyl group with them. So to whom we are calling they are short chain or medium chain, or sometimes the long chain, or sometimes the very long chain. That thoroughly we have discussed. So through this discussion, we have completed the importance classification of the lipids, and we have achieved whatever we have decided in the beginning of the lecture, that we have gone through the concept and importance of the lipids. We have discussed in detail that the concept of lipids and what kind of that the fatty acids they are there. Then we have classified the lipids on the various the sources and the characteristics. Also, we have discussed that they are generally the solvent in the organic solvent, and for example the ether and then chloroform like that. And then the specificity we have also discussed that what kind of that the lipids are there. So thank you very much for this. Thank you very much.